Legions of people in the United States who fought for civil rights feel a tremendous sense of loss with the passing of Nelson Mandela. Historians tell us there are parallels in the two great struggles. While one fight cost Martin Luther King Jr. his life, Nelson Mandela lost his freedom for decades. And in the end, it was Mandela's dignity that helped erase government-backed discrimination and helped to unify a nation. CCTV's Sean Callebs reports.
Amid the legions showing up at the South African embassy in Washington to remember Nelson Mandela are Dijon Anderson and his 10-year-old son, Keaton.
I really never looked at his life, and I'm probably gonna go home, see what more things he did, and he was just amazing.
On every corner of the earth, people are mourning Mandela's passing. For some, like U.S. Congressman John Lewis, there's a strong connection. Lewis marched shoulder to shoulder with Martin Luther King Jr. during the civil rights demonstrations in the United States. Lewis, on his website, recounted his first meeting with Mandela. It was right after Mandela's release from prison, and he said, "John Lewis, I know all about you. You inspired us." The congressman responded, "No, Mr. Mandela, you inspired us." Mandela said, "The struggle continues." Lewis says he was in the presence of greatness. They both fought against injustice in the battle for civil and human rights. James Cragen is now a professor at Howard University in Washington and remembers parallels between the U.S. and South Africa in the battle for equality.
We saw some of the same conditions that we saw in the South, in South Africa, except they were more formalized in South Africa with the passbooks and with the restrictions on every phase of their lives.
One aspect civil rights leaders in the U.S. say South Africa learned was to hit them in the wallet. In the U.S., it was boycotts in the 1960s. Years later in South Africa, opponents of apartheid demanded U.S. and Western powers divest their holdings. And it worked.
And so until that base of support was broken, that economic base of support for apartheid was broken, the South Africans couldn't realize their potential. And what ends up happening, of course, is the disinvestment campaign that starts here in the United States and spreads around the world.
And civil rights leaders here say after decades of prison, if anyone had a right to seek vengeance, it was Mandela. But he didn't. He unified a nation and cemented his admiration from people around the world. Now he is being remembered as a model for faith and perseverance. Mike?